Hey guys, how's it going? Lewis Harding Invest here and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be analysing Pfizer stock and working out if the stock is worth buying or not using fundamental analysis and a DCF calculation. Let's get straight into it. So who are Pfizer? So Pfizer is an American pharmaceutical company based in the United States, and they were founded back in 1849 by two German immigrants in New York City, Charles Pfizer and Charles Erhardt. To put it simply, Pfizer are a pharmaceutical giant and they're one of the biggest pharma companies in the world. They focus on medicines and vaccines, and they are in all sorts of different sectors in the medical industry, such as rare diseases, consumer healthcare, inflammation, immunology. They have all sorts of legacy brands, genetics. They're in basically everything to do with healthcare, and Pfizer has something to do with every single different section. But one of the main things they do focus on is vaccines, and Covid-19 has really shown that, because I think, if I'm not wrong, I think the Pfizer vaccine has probably been the most successful rollout worldwide. The AstraZeneca vaccine has had a lot of stick from different regulators, especially in the EU, whereas Pfizer, I know in the UK myself, if you ask people, most people have had Pfizer, and I'm sure the same in America, and probably in Europe as well, to be totally honest. So Pfizer really smashed the Covid-19 vaccine, and they are the experts in vaccines, so pretty simple. And so yeah, they basically have all sorts of different products in the healthcare industry. We have some leading brands as well, most namely Viagra, probably the most famous on that list. Now looking at the sales breakdown for Pfizer, and you can see they are making a lot of money from different places. They are very diverse in where they're getting their revenue from. It's split between oncology, internal medicine, hospital, vaccines, inflammation and rare disease. Simply, it's very diverse where they're getting the revenue from, and they don't have one main product which is bringing in all the money, which is a really important factor for investing in a company over the long term. Looking at the sales per region, and no surprise, the United States is at top with almost half, and then Europe makes a small 19%, and then the others aren't really worth talking about after that, because that's the majority of the sales after emerging markets. So most of the sales are in America, which is not surprising, but they do have a lot of sales worldwide as well. Now moving on to the income statement, and I think the first thing which comes to mind to me is inconsistency, really. You can see that the sales have been down over the past 3 years. 2020 clearly to do with COVID, but yeah, the margins are a little bit all over the place as well, with 2018 being 21%, 2019 being 31%, and then 2020 being 23%. So yeah, it's a bit all over the place. And even with the sales down, the margins were higher, so you'd have to look into that a bit more when analysing the company further. But we've got high margins above 20%. That's always really good to see, and you want them to keep that up. 2020 was a bit of a freak year, even though they've been developing the vaccine, and they will not have probably seen the benefits income-wise until 21 and 22. And as you can see, the numbers in blue are analyst estimates, but 2021 is looking like a blockbuster year for Pfizer, because their vaccine has been a very big success, and I'm sure into the future, with all the booster jabs coming, they're going to rake it in from governments around the world. Nothing wrong with having government contracts. There's one reason I do like defence companies, but Pfizer having contracts with governments all over the world for the vaccine is a very good sign for shareholders. And if they can keep their margins at a good level, and bring in the money, and ultimately more cash flow, that's only good for those shareholders, really. So I'm quite happy with the income statement, really, even though it is a bit inconsistent. Balance sheet time, and the three main figures I'm looking at is net debt, free cash flow and return on equity. Yeah, and all of these numbers make an interesting read. So the net debt, pretty inconsistent, but with the cash flow coming in over the next couple of years, it's going to reduce by quite a bit, and this is a really good thing to see as shareholders. With Pfizer making a lot of money from the COVID vaccine, and bringing in the cash, you want them to pay down the debt and reward shareholders by, paying off debt, paying dividends and buying back shares. So this is really good to see, really. Free cash flow was in decline a little bit, with a few inconsistent years, but over the next 3 to 4 years, I think the free cash flow is going to be very strong, and the analyst estimates do replicate that, so very interesting, and it would make sense with the COVID vaccine that the free cash flow would be higher, so it does make logical sense. The return on equity is only going to be higher as well if they are making more cash flows, which is awesome in terms of for us investors. So yeah, this makes good reading really. I think one thing you have to do as an investor is when the COVID situation's over and the vaccines are in play, is Pfizer going to stay a stable business? So far the financials are looking pretty decent though, I must say. Now onto my analysis checklist for Pfizer, and let's go straight to pillar 1. Net profit margin, ball out of the park, absolutely smashes it, very, very profitable business. Return on equity above 15%. Macro trend says it's not, but then I've just seen that market screener says it is, so take that with a pinch of salt. I'll have to see what the data sources are doing there, because it might be different for some reason. They might calculate return on equity a little different. Long-term debt, very little long-term debt, which is also lovely to see. Current ratio above 1 as well, so a lot of liquidity going on in the business. And then pillar 3, so pretty inconsistent in terms of revenue growth and free cash flow growth. It is a bit all over the place. Pfizer, you could class it as a stalwart, as Peter Lynch would say. It's a very big established company, but it just spits off a lot of cash. Even if revenue is down one year, it's still very consistent with its cash flows. So it's very just up and down, up and down. Obviously COVID's had a positive impact on Pfizer with the vaccine, so for the next few years the cash flow is going to be really good for shareholders. This business isn't going to grow a hell of a lot. It's already a very big company, but I'm buying it because I personally think the cash flow is very cheap based on what... Well, I bought it when it was very cheap. It's had a decent run up recently. But yeah, decreasing share count, dividend growth, acquisition's good. All great things to see for using the cash flow well. But then yeah, pillar 4, the PE ratio and price of free cash flow as well is a no, unfortunately. And then yeah, I come to a fair value of Pfizer at $37 per share for a 10% return. So let's go on for DCF and I'll show you how I've got to that figure. Now moving on to my DCF calculation, and for a 10% return I'm looking at a price of $37 for Pfizer. I put my free cash flow figures in, discounted at 10%. And yeah, so pretty simple stuff. I bought this stock back in I think January time, and yeah, it's done pretty well for me since then. Doesn't really matter in the short term. I think right now it's probably a little bit expensive, depending on like what return you want to get. But ultimately for me, I think for a 10% return, around $37, give or take, is probably a good ballpark, really. So yeah, I'm probably a little bit biased with Pfizer because I do own it in my investment portfolio, and I'm going to hold this stock for a good few decades because I do think over the long term this stock will produce really good compounded returns with a strong high dividend in the 3 or 4% range, and you know, just strong and stable cash flows. Boring, but it works. Ultimately, pharmaceutical companies are really, really good businesses. They have a lot of good trends going in their favour. Older population, so people are living longer, which means you probably need more drugs as you get older and get more illnesses, and expanding world population, which means there's more people to, you know, sell products to. So ultimately these companies aren't going anywhere, and if you can find the biggest and the best, they're probably worth holding in your portfolio, or at least, you know, a handful for sure. I've got quite a few on my watch list. There's a few right now I think are quite expensive. I'd even put Pfizer up there right now, slightly expensive. You probably saw, I think it needs to drop 27% to my target price. But it's in my portfolio. I managed to buy 6 months ago, so I'm pretty happy with that. I own Pfizer, so I'm not going to be selling it. No need to. Got it at a good price. Happy days. But ultimately, yeah, I think it's a very good business, and I think it's well worth looking into the pharmaceutical industry. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do more pharma stocks, because I do know they're a very popular sector for sure. I hope you enjoyed this week's quick stock analysis, and if you want more investing content, please subscribe to my weekly newsletter for a roundup of the latest news in the world stock market and in the world of investing. If you want more direct access to me, subscribe to my Patreon, the link's in the description below. For the small monthly fee of £5 per month, you get access to my Discord server, direct access to me, what investments I'm looking at, and yeah, just a great place to chat to subscribers as well. So yeah, please join that. I think if you do join the content and want access to me, it's a great place for you. As always, please leave a like and a comment on the video, as it really does help me out, and subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time. Thank you for watching. As always, it would be amazing if you could like, comment and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video. I will see you in the next one. However, you can check out some of these videos.